Just prepare and just put things. We are live, but we're just gonna put the my Zoom. This is the last time probably I'm doing this because I've not understood how to mute this echo when it comes when the Facebook loads up, so that I can see the comments. So see, yeah, right there. I did it. Yeah. All right. I told you that I used to do interviews sitting. Now I can't because 99th excitement. I just need to move. And what incredible stories after stories after stories, the way we are ending in such incredible stories. I mean, is yet another incredible story with us. 99. 3rd February, 8 a.m. Indian Standard Time, 100th Mom celebration. Please be there. The first peak is done, and we did it. We did it all together. We brought these 100 stories, 100 Shades of Mothers, and welcome Amy to the book. And I'm waiting to bring your story out as well. But all of us are very, very excited in the group that 99th number is reached, and you're right there. So welcome to the book, Amy. And am I pronouncing your name correct? It's Amy.
Amy, yeah. Amy. Yeah.
Amy. All
Yeah.
right. Because in India we have your mom here. Her name is Ami. It's AMI. Then Amy and Amy. So Amy.
Yeah.
So here it is, Amy. Welcome to the book. And I always say this. Let me say it once more time that moms who live their story tell their story the best. So no biodatas and no long list of what all accomplished. We will hear straight from the mom how her story has been. But before that, what's Amy's story till now and your journey, how it's been, and then we'll move on to your story as a mom, and then self-portraits, and then we'll move on to your dream. So that's how the interview will go. Welcome to the book, and I'm excited to have you in the book and see your page shine in this incredible book that's coming up.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And just congratulations on this huge project that you're doing. Like, to be the 99 mom, I'm just honored. I was watching some of the interviews, watching all the amazing women you've interviewed, the moms, women moms, all of us, and you've just done a phenomenal job. So thank you for having me, and congratulations on all the success and all that you're doing in your book. It's truly amazing.
Thank you. And you're going to join me.
Yeah.
Now you're one of us, and it's our book, and we're all in it together. So you're one of us now, Amy.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my story. So I guess I'll take it back a little bit. So I grew up in the UK, and I know I don't sound like I'm British. I moved when I was 10. I can put on the accent, and it comes back when I'm visiting family, but it's just my mom and my dad and my brother that are here in Canada, where our daughter was our first generation Canadian on our side of the family. And I grew up in a family where we were always giving back, doing different things. I can tell you there were so many times on special holidays that we had strangers in our home because they had nowhere to go. And my mom didn't ever want anybody to be alone over Christmas or any special holiday. So there are numerous times we had people in our house that were celebrating with us just to be together and to shape the community, or people to have someone right during those times. So I grew up like that. I grew up volunteering at soup kitchens, all of that kind of thing. And then grew up traveling with my family. I think when you live in the UK, it's so much easier to travel to different countries on a weekend, right? Now living just outside of Toronto in Ontario, it's so much harder. You can't just jet to Italy for a weekend or anything, right? It's Canada is such a massive country. So I grew up like that. And then I grew up, like I said, traveling. And then I kind of got to my motherhood journey, I guess, after I went to school in Australia. I did my master's of teaching, came up to be a teacher, and then went from teaching into growing my nonprofit, which is called Village Impact, where I build schools in Kenya and community-led organizations. And then I entered the world of motherhood. And to be honest with my journey, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a mom at the beginning. I knew I wanted to, but I was really, I didn't want to give up some of the things I was doing. And I had so many people tell me that, oh, when you get pregnant, when you have your baby, you won't be able to do this anymore. You won't be able to do that anymore. And I was like, no, that's not going to be that, like, we're still going to travel. We're still going to do all this stuff. And I went on and I got through that. And then I went on to have my daughter, but also in my motherhood journey, we adopted a little boy from South Africa. His name is Sam. He's just turned 8. We adopted him when he was 1. And that was an 8-year emotional journey. It took us 8 years from the beginning to the day that we landed in South Africa and spent several months there with him, and then obviously brought him back to Canada. But that was a crazy journey. And then that's kind of, I mean, obviously he's 8 now, and my daughter's 10 going on 24, I think, some days. And I think as moms, you understand what I mean when I have a daughter that's younger and you feel like she's much older. And then my husband and I have been married 15 years, and we run multiple businesses together and our nonprofit. That's kind of it in a quick nutshell.
I know when I met you also, I was talking to you that how we live our stories, and every day sometimes becomes like such a long day. But when we're told to introduce ourselves, to just say it in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, we're just like trying to figure out which are the facts that we can just put it together, and we can just like put it right there and say, okay, this is us. But that us has taken so many emotions and so much time and so many things to reach there. So one, thank you for just like going and just compiling it, but I'm sure it's been quite a journey. And you have 2 very beautiful projects. Would you like to talk about that? I was seeing it on Facebook, and you have 2 very, very beautiful projects going on, and I would love you to talk about how they came about and like what's all that about.
Yeah. So it's funny, like my husband and I, like I said, we've been married 15 years, together for like 20. So like half of my life. And both of us have always had a heart for Africa in some way. And I don't know where it came from. I grew up traveling, but I never had gone to Africa when I was a kid. And then when Stu and I got together, we both had this kind of draw towards that continent, and not a country in particular, but just that continent. So we actually, before we had our biological daughter, we knew we wanted to adopt. And then that kind of love for Africa and that continent continued, and it kind of goes now into one of my projects, which is called Village Impact. And it's a Canadian charity we started about 11 years ago. And my whole, it's a community-led organization. So we partner with the government on the ground. So the government supplies the teachers, the sustainability pretty much of the schools. And then we, as an organization, build the school structure out. So we've built now, we're working on our 15th school. And each school has anywhere between 350 kids to some of our biggest ones have over 700. And it's just a love of like people and cultures, and that same love for Africa that I still have today. So before COVID, I spent quite a bit of time in Africa or in Kenya, particularly for our programs. But for me, I've always had this love and fascination of cultures and learning from other people. Like we can learn so much, right, from other cultures and other people. So I've kind of just followed that passion for me as I've grown my other businesses, but my first one definitely started with Village Impact, and that love or being drawn to that continent, which has led to obviously the adoption of our little guy, Sam, and now our nonprofit that we have, which is Village Impact. Yeah. So that's
sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
so it's beautiful that you said that, and you did mention that you were traveling in India as well. When I was talking to you about India, and you traveled, if people know, like Francis is here. Hi, Francis, for joining. Other people, I can see you, but please join in. Let's cheer up our 99th mom as well, and give a lot of hearts for the work she's doing, because she's doing some brilliant work. I saw it, and we must share some hearts here in the comments. But you did mention that you went to India on an auto rickshaw and did 1,200 kilometers on an auto rickshaw. And if anybody knows about India, we have these little autos. And that's why I asked you, did you go to Goa? Because when I used to travel, there were places like this one place in Rajasthan, if you know Rajasthan, Pushkar. I'm not sure if you've done Pushkar. Have you done Pushkar?
No.
Which is a desert area with camels. Did you do that in India?
I remember going to the Pink City, and I don't think that was it. No, that's more like, yeah.
same state, same state. And
Okay.
I used to travel as a photographer every year because there was a camel fair that used to happen. And I used to go there because there were more photographers from the world than the camels there in that fair. And photographers were always there. And there I met somebody who had painted their auto. I'm not sure if it's you because I'm really talking
Quite a bit.
I'm really talking about a long time back, and I'm really talking about 15 years back maybe. And there was somebody who had painted the auto rickshaw with this bright color, and they were heading to Goa.
Yeah.
So, did you paint your auto as well?
Yeah, so basically for my story, like I started Village Impact and I've grown it now to, we're a fairly big organization, but very small staff. I like to say we're small but mighty. And in growing that nonprofit, wasn't a teacher anymore. I was an entrepreneur. And then I started my business called Lady Strength. And Lady Strength, in a sense, is all about adventure trips and getting out of your comfort zone, doing different retreats. And I'm all about adventure. Like my husband often jokes that if we weren't living an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows us to kind of bounce between different things, I would be a nomad living somewhere in the world, traveling the world. So I have this need and thirst for adventure. That's one of my buckets that I love to fill every year. So I do these crazy adventures. And that particular one was through a rickshaw travel adventure company. And it wasn't me, but it was probably the same company because there's a couple of companies that do it. And basically, it was Carrie on my staff and Irene, my partner for Kenya, who lives in Kenya. And we got to Kenya and they give you the rickshaw and you can paint it, so you can decorate it. So we had our charity logo on it. We had our other logos. We had streamers on ours. And we get there and then they test drive it and you drive it around. And then they kind of line you all up on the start line the next day. And then they say, go. And then you have to get to a hotel every night. So we started at the top and we went down the coast to Thendamthorpe, or like it's 1,200 kilometers all the way down the coast. And every night we had to hit a different hotel. And we drove through crazy traffic. I almost got hit by a bus. I did all kinds of crazy stuff, but that's just what I love to do. Like I've done that. I rode a motorcycle across Morocco, and we had to find places to stay every night. We didn't have any hotels, and it was me and two girls riding like a 50cc motorcycle. So for me, it's like that love of travel and adventure is so important that I fill that bucket. And it's even more important for my daughter and my son to see that I'm following those dreams, right? And then I'm following those passions because they're seeing what's possible for their life by watching, my husband and I live our life. And adventure like that, it sounds crazy to some people. Some people get it, some people don't, and that's okay. But it's what fills me up and generally lights up my soul. So I just actually booked another adventure trip, and it's been years, right, with COVID, but I just booked something to Scotland on a motorbike, a similar kind of thing for June. And I can't wait because that's one of my buckets. And I really try to fill that every year and kind of push myself a little bit.
Beautiful. And why I'm asking you is that you never know that I met, that's what I was asking you, because I'm talking about good 15 years back, maybe 16, I don't know, but I used to go very often for my photo trips. And I would, I saw this, I did stop in this auto rickshaw, which was heading towards Goa, and it was very beautifully designed and colored and everything. So it must be one of the same companies, or maybe I met you, and you never know I don't know, I'm not sure, but I remember meeting somebody, and then when you were telling me about the auto rickshaw, I was like, I exactly know what it is because I know how it looked, very colorful, very designed, all these little lights twinkling out there. And there was a little resting place in there, just in a small auto, you had all the stuff that you needed to ride. And so that's why I was smiling. I was like, wow, what if I actually met you a few years back, just like walking on the street and I just said hi to you and I just left. You never know.
No.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe I've met you, but it's beautiful the way you're living, and absolutely what you just say. And I absolutely believe when our children see us shine, when the children see us climb, when our children see us drive, when our children see us doing it every single day. Like I just did a high five with my son right now and saying 99th mom done. rather than keeping them away from it, I involve my son as well, and he's like, wow, and he was so excited, and he wanted some help, but then he just walked away. He's like, I know this is more important. Then he's all of 8. So I totally believe what you say, and it's incredible that you're working so closely and living your life and creating impact and enjoying it, and then being an example for your own children, um, all in one. It looks like a very miracle life to me, Amy, and it takes a lot of tightrope walking sometimes as well to keep going and to keep doing this. It sounds very fascinating and it sounds very adventurous, but definitely, I'm sure it takes every day waking up with that dream and then walking towards it and then making it happen and then balancing things out and then doing so many things. So hats off to you guys. Hats off to you guys. And it's beautiful. So the second venture is your entrepreneurial venture. One is the village. What are the two ventures again? Village is
So I
one.
have, yeah, so Village Impact is my nonprofit that we have that builds the schools in Kenya. And then from that in my kind of entrepreneurial journey came Lady Strength, which is my mastermind and group and just working with other women to really focus on pursuing what they're passionate about while still having an impact in the world. So we get asked a lot, both my husband and I, on like how to create impact within our business and how to put giving back into your business and community and all that good stuff. So that's kind of what Lady Strength is in a sense. And then we've always been involved in real estate. That's another where I have too many tabs open on my website, on my computer, looking at different things. But I bounce between the three. And then, like you were saying, our kids, I mean, they've grown up in a bit of an entrepreneurial family. Like they've been on stages with my husband when he speaks. They've come to Kenya with us several times. We take them out of school here and there for extended periods when we can. And yeah, I just believe, like you said, in involving them in our life, but then involving them and teaching them in like, you know, it's important to give and to save and to spend and having a good relationship with those three. And we try to kind of model that in our everyday life, but then them talking about giving back to Kenya and giving back in our own community and just showing up. So
Yeah.
they kind of all blend together in one big circle.
Yeah, and it's beautiful that you show up like that. So I definitely honor you for that. And we have we have two moms, which one mom who loves to walk. She just loves to walk, and her dream is to walk. Her name is Dawn, and I think she was really long back, almost like around the 18th number or the 17th. And her dream is to walk the longest path in South Africa, which takes 8 years to walk. And she walks in India at places where I would just like, if I walked, I would be thinking twice. And she keeps saying, "Oh, India is very safe." She's not from India, and then she just says, "India is very safe. 6 years I've been doing it." And we have her, and then we have another mom from India. I'm just forgetting some very big number. She did in 5 years, 65 countries or 100 countries. Again, she was really far off. You can see that so many horrors. I'm just losing the details right now because I've been just like going
Are
on
so
and
busy?
on. But we definitely have a mom who also works. Like she sounds a lot like you because she has traveled with her children extensively to this insane number of countries in 5 years, and she says we're not very. It's not that we're very rich and we have a lot of money, but how a person how they make that as the most important thing of their life to teach their children what travel is. And the second part of her is basically all the awareness about good touch, bad touch in schools and molestation and all that awareness that comes. And she works with schools simultaneously. So both her, like when her picture had to be brainstormed, I was just like, what story should I get? Because both of them are so fully lived and incredibly done. One side is doing an impact, and the other side is totally fully expressing and living and expanding, just
Yeah,
like
that's
the way you
beautiful.
are doing it. So it'll be nice if you all both meet at Radhika from here. So just, it sounds amazing when you talk about it or you hear about it. But what is it that sometimes you feel that you have to just overcome again and again to live this dream, to be able to balance it out, to be knowing the impact, but at the same time not getting carried away one side, also making it possible to live an expanded life. And of course, great partnership is one of them. When you are great, with a great partnership doing it, it's great to do it together. So
Yeah.
what is that's something that you feel a lot of times you have to overcome and move forward with it?
Yeah.
Very critical.
So yeah, and it's funny, like nothing's like entrepreneurship and and motherhood, and like it's all like being a mom is the hardest job I've ever had. But then, you know, running the companies at the same time, it can be challenging. It's not perfect by any means. There are days where I'm like, maybe I should go back to teaching and just, you know, and then you know, clock in and clock out in some ways, because when you're an entrepreneur, your mind but never stops and there's always something happening, right? So I joke with my husband every now and again when I'm having one of those moments of like overwhelm of everything happening, but then I kind of stop and I usually go for a walk, or I just kind of bring it back. But the one thing that I really struggle with is speaking in front of lots of people. I'm extroverted and I love organizing activities like my daughter's birthdays, friend get-togethers, our anniversary parties. Like I love organizing and creating experiences for people, and I do that a lot a lot now. But I had a book that came out this August called Passion to Purpose, and I've had to put myself out front more often than I have been. So I've had to speak on, not had to, I mean, I'm really honored to speak on podcasts, speak on stages a bit more than I'm used to. And that's really a struggle for me. Like that is not something that comes to me naturally. I'm married to a man that speaks in front of thousands, and the more people, the better. And he loves it. And then I'm on the stage feeling like I want to throw up, right? And it's not my thing. So something that's helped me get through that point for me, and I still use it and I still try, is I just remember what I've already done. Because sometimes being an entrepreneur, you get so far ahead and you're thinking about this and that. And I'm talking to someone and I'm thinking about the thing I have to do after the thing of the thing. And like, I have to be present. Right. So I try to remember what I've already done. So for example, I got asked to speak at an event in Toronto in front of 100 women entrepreneurs, and it had been 2 years since COVID, like, right. So nobody was getting together. So this was like my first event speaking in front of people. And I was so nervous and I was like up all night thinking about it. And I get there and then I'm like, Amy, like, remember what you've already done. Like you've spoken in front of thousands of people before. Like I have legit fallen off a chair in front of people. Like, so I remember what I've done. Like when I spoke, when I fell off that chair, I was speaking with my husband in front of Dean Graziosi's audience, and he's partnered with Tony Robbins, and I was at his event and we were speaking about our nonprofit. And he got these little plastic stools we're sitting on, and I had this nice dress and we're sitting on these stools, and I was like, and I kept sliding down like this, and I couldn't get comfortable for the life of me. And then all of a sudden everyone in the audience starts cheering and they're like, woo, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, what are they like cheering about? And Tanner from Dean's team comes out with a big wooden chair for me to sit on. And so I sit down in this chair and the whole audience cheers. And I was just so embarrassed. Like, I'm like, man, that was like, so before getting on this stage, I was like, Amy, like you've done this before. It's only 100 people. You can do it. And I think oftentimes we get stuck and then we forget what we've done. Like you've got to remember that as a mom and as a business owner or professional career, whatever it may be, we've all done hard things. And sometimes we get so caught up in like the next thing that we forget that we've done, if not the same thing or harder things before. So that's helpful.
Right. And Mary is here. She's saying I'm from Toronto. And Francis is a teacher as well. And I'm not sure, Francis, you'll have to write where you're from. I told you, there are a lot of people from where you are here or close by. And how do you organize it all? What does your immediate circle support look like? Francis is one of our most very loved moms. I really love her. And there are a lot of comments here supporting us. But to say this all, like, just vulnerably you said that you don't like the audience and you don't like it. I think everybody has something or the other, and living your life fully is everybody's dream. But to
Mhm.
make it happen, I know it takes a lot. So hats off to you to making that happen together. It is like climbing every day. It is practicing every day how to live that life. It does I don't I'm not sure if you learn it once and then it all just goes and it starts and then it never ends and it's all happy and it's all amazing and it's an
Oh
everyday
yeah.
practice. It's an everyday practice to live, to believe, to choose, to keep going on. And that's what I'm saying. It's hats off to you that you can create this balance and still make impact. And so I'm very glad. And there's a mom here who's on the fourth number. Her YouTube channel is called Passion and Purpose. She had interviewed me before this
Oh,
project started. Probably I'll share. So she started this whole thing called Passion and Purpose. So she would be happy to know that you have a book called Passion and Purpose, and maybe
yeah.
eventually get there. And your whole connection with Africa, and
Mhm.
so let's use this platform. So the last five interviews, something is happening. Only issues and a lot of stuff is just coming out and coming out in the open, and awareness about those is getting expanded. And then something knocks into my head and I say something. And something is coming out for me for this as well as an awareness project where 100 moms can help um, at least making more awareness towards this. And if a mom like you is already doing something like that, these 100 moms have the strength to support it either by sharing or in whatever way. So let's just get that out because I don't know what's coming out. It just keeps bubbling inside of me. It's happened last five interviews. Something or the other is bubbling inside of me. Just morning, Frank must be watching. He said he's watching. We had an interview with Frank, and I said domestic violence. The whole day I've been thinking, how am I going to now integrate domestic violence? I'm talking about Run for Moms. I'm talking about veterans now. All this is coming up. By 100th mom, the picture will be clear. So in 2 days, I'll exactly know how we're going. And now something is bubbling inside of me for Kenya. And somebody who's so passionate and spent so much time in Africa, let's get that out as well. You never know where we all moms can make impact together, even if it's just making people aware. So let's talk about Kenya a little and
Yeah.
what's the support? How are you supporting them? What is it fascinating? Because it is a very fascinating country for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I, um, yeah, so we have a team on the ground. So I have a few ground reps and a couple of counselors. And we have two people in North America that are on a part of our team. And so what we do, like I mentioned, is that we'll build a school and then the government comes in and sustains it. But what we do and what I'm most proud of is like, we don't just go into like any area and decide to build a school. Like all of our work comes from the ground. So it comes from the mamas, it comes from the community leaders. For example, the school we're working on right now is our first girls' school. It's our first, I call it double decker school because our schools usually have between 8 to 14 classrooms in a MIM block. The high schools have labs, but this school is actually going to be like a second floor. And we've never done a second floor before. But the idea of the girls' school came from our community because what happened during COVID in this one, well, all over, but in this one particular area was that a lot of the girls were struggling and they were trying to get money for their families. And for them, they decided that the best way to get money for their families was, selling themselves in a sense and and that kind of thing. And it bumped the teen pregnancies up, and the community had noticed it. And like the moms were all coming together in the villages and saying, we have to do something. And then the government kind of came in and said, well, we'll give you this land. And then the community's like, let's do a girls' school. And because you and I know there's something powerful about having all of girls together in one spot, right? That environment that creates that safety, that just that feel of love and hope with all girls is our hope that they can make more positive choices for themselves. So yeah, we're excited. We've never done an all girls school. And the crazy thing is when we said we were going to do it and we broke foundation and it's almost done, it should be done in April. or April, May. We had 670 girls that had enlisted to come and take part in the school. I just got word last week on our call that it's now close to 900 girls. So now we're looking at how we can like expand it. But so what happens is we build it, but then like I said, the government comes in and pays the teachers, pays the principals, and it runs itself. And that was a huge thing for both Stu and I is, you know, if we were to walk away tomorrow, I would never, ever want all of our buildings to not be used anymore or for them to sit vacant and for kids not to have that opportunity to go to school. So we do implement programs that are essentially village impacts. So some of my favorite programs that we do are we take the kids on field trips. So we take the graduating class, grade 12 high school kids, grade 8 and grade 3s. And every year we do a field trip for them. So our last one, the grade 8s, we took them into Nairobi. And some of these kids have never been outside of their village, right? And so they come into Nairobi, they wanted to sit in traffic because they were so excited because they'd never seen so many cars before, right? And then they're eating lunch and they didn't know how to use a spoon or a fork. And for me, that's the magic. It's planting those seeds of possibility in those children's minds, because that's, I mean, what happened to me when in my book, I share more about it, but I went down to Mississippi and worked for a real estate entrepreneur. And my mind was like blown wide open of like the possibilities that all these things that I never even thought or knew that was happening in the world. So it's in that same kind of picture of taking these kids and putting them in different spots just to open their minds to what's possible, because then they see like, wow, like maybe I could do this, or I could be this, or how can I get there? And it starts their mind to start to think about asking themselves different questions and thinking about their future and what they would like to do. So those field trips obviously are supported by our programs in Village Impact. And then the last thing I'll just say is that we've, in one of our other businesses, they fund the overhead of our nonprofit. So then 98%, it's like 98.9% of all donations that come into our charity go to where it needs to go. So our overhead is funded by our other company that pays it. So we're very big in, like I said, into putting everything into one big circle, but make sure that we're always giving back and seeing what we can do to help out. So
beautiful,
and
and so beautiful. And um, I mean, just like 900 is such a beautiful number. Like, look at that number. And girls, I always say, and we were talking in the morning also, when you empower women, when you empower girls, and when you allow them, and when they get empowered as moms, ripple effect goes really, really far. And you're doing that. And any support, these 100 moms across the world will do it. If nothing, we all will get inspired by your model and start it in a small way or a big way in our countries. And many, many girls across the world will be helped. And maybe we can take your guidance, and mothers going to step in and see. I was telling you, something will keep coming out of my mouth when I just go live. Something happens to me, but I feel that all of us can definitely get inspired and add to more girls getting supported. And just, I know that you have you have work, but I mean, these interviews are reminding me of the way I've lived and stories I've seen. And Himalayas, Ladakh, India. So Ladakh, is one of the very secluded places in Himalayas, low oxygen. And I had visited Ladakh, and the news had gone out at that time. There was a big landslide, and news had gone out that, around a small village where we were, that some photographer is also here. And so this man came with a little daughter there, like she was 6 years old or something, and we were sitting there. This German bakery. There's this German guy who started a bakery. Ladakh is very touristy as well, and people settle there. Once you go to Ladakh, you just settle there. I would love to settle in Ladakh as well. It's very tough conditions though. And then while I was talking, because he was trying to understand like where the latest cameras are, because he wanted to start photography, and he had lost his house in the landslide, and we had lost thousands and thousands of people died with that whole mountain coming down in Ladakh. And when you're talking about the fork and the knife, it reminded me of that story, because all I saw her was she was just putting her face right next to this glass thing with cakes and pies and breads and everything. And they had walked almost for 3-4 hours, taken a ride, and taken like ups and downs to come there just to meet somebody so that they can be guided in photography. And I can never forget that girl. And I went next to her and said, would you want it? And then she looked at her father. And I looked at him and she said no. And I said, may I? So she's like, no, because she'll get used to it and she will not know ever like how to say no to this. So it's okay. Let her be away from it. But like I just wanted to, but sometimes we're outsiders and these people are teaching them. And another story that happened with children, and when you travel, like these kinds of things get hit to you. And I'm driving 300 kilometers, there's no human life, there's no trees, there's nothing, just beautiful mountains, changing terrains every 60 kilometers. Very tough. Only two months there is less snow. There's always snow, but it's cold desert. And I find this little 5-year-old boy walking with the stick with yaks, 5 yaks. I'm really tiny, okay?
Yeah.
And just a 5-year-old boy with 4-5 yaks, and he's like swinging around with a stick, and he's just walking, and I was like, I want to get down and find out from him. And a little bit of English he knew because tourists keep crossing. And I was like, where's your home? So he pointed at me at a hill that goes down and up, and then I see a very small house right there, and she's like, there. I said, what are you doing here? He's like he had that look that, can't you see? I'm taking the yaks for grazing and then getting them back. And then I looked around and I had no parents and nothing. There was this free soul at the age of 5 growing, and that taught me so much while traveling, that how we hold on to our children, that they can't move here, they can't step here, but how children step into the environment they are in, and it all ripples down from parents. That was the size of the house I saw when he pointed. Like, it went up, down, upside. And 5 big yaks. Can you see the size of the yak? I took a picture of that, and all I could just say was admire him at the age of 5. That's how the life force teaches us. And I think your children will see this when they travel. Radhika is here in the comments, and Radhika's children will also see that it expands, the box opens up, we get out and travel and impact and moving to other countries to help. And hopefully this project of 100 mothers, our children can mingle in these countries and meet all these 100 moms. And, maybe like stuff comes to me and this is madness. Maybe we could just have exchange programs and we could go to each other's houses with our families and live in different parts of the country. We have a Japanese mom, we have a mom from Pakistan, we have a mom from Iraq, we have moms from everywhere. And maybe we can have an exchange program once this keeps building up higher and we can all experience each other's houses. That would be beautiful as well. So thank you, Amy, for living.
Oh, no.
But it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. You get to meet these 100 moms. You get to express your story in the book through self-portrait. And before I go, 2 questions, quick ones. What do you think of the self-portrait? What do you think? You travel so much, you expand, and you already said that audience scare you. Do you think the self-portrait expression of your story will scare you if you step into it? Or do you feel that you'll embrace it just the way you embraced everything else?
No, I think it's beautiful. Like, I think so many times we hide behind filters and cameras, and we had talked about, we don't get in front of the camera enough, and we forget that there's, there's people out there that could use your word of advice or could just connect with you. And I think it's good I just think it's beautiful. And I am going to do it. And there probably will be a little part of me that's always like, but I will embrace it and do it for sure. Because I hope it encourages other women to do the same.
Yeah, all these 100 women are going to do that. And just to remind everybody before we're wrapping up our 100 interviews is, these are going to be not faces. These are going to be stories to inspire that mom. Let's not forget, when we started, I said, this book is going to inspire that mom who sits in the dark, so much going on, and she's like, I give up. And if we can make this book reach her table, if we can make it reach her table, and she can look at it and say, well, these 100 moms can do it, so can I. some or the other shade will speak to them. And we will move forward to going to even mums, where mums can afford to come on Zoom and do self-portrait. That's a project later on. It's all inside here. I will not announce it. It's all here. We will do it. But welcome to the book, Amy.
Thank you.
Beautiful. What's your dream? Is the last question, because the book is called 100 Self-Portrait, 100 Dreams. And the tagline is for moms who dared to express. So what's the dream?
My dream is that just women and moms don't put down your passions and things that really light you up, and just make sure you take time for them and spend time with them. And when it comes to impact, you know, we started our nonprofit with less than $300 in the bank account.
Wow.
And we just started, and we started to take action. It all came from following what I really love to do and what lit me up. So for me, I hope women just honor that and follow it and make time for it, because it's just so important.
Beautiful. I mean, that itself is inspiring. You don't need big money. You don't need to know a lot of people.
Totally. And that's why I wrote this book. It's like, people often say, oh, I don't have like money for a classroom, or I don't have this. And you don't need that. You just need to show up. You need to have a smile. You need to, encourage people. You don't necessarily need money. You can still show up and make a difference by the actions that we take. And then you can choose to, we chose to build a charity, but you don't even have to do that. There are just so many ways to make an impact in the world today.
Yeah. And this movement is also another proof that there's no exchange of money happened here since the day one for anything. Like there are mothers who there are many actually. When I reached out to them, they're like, so what's the cost? I was like, nothing. And like, so we pay nothing to come in your book. I say, yeah, you pay nothing to come in the book. All you do is just say yes to the self-portrait and not get scared of it, and dare to express yourself visually. Do you dare to express yourself visually or in? And this is another project which has only amplified, only based on love and energy. And I know it's going to just amplify, and book will become the byproduct. Many things will happen by the time the book comes out, because I still don't know how to get all the money to get the moms here, or all the money to produce this book, or all the money to get the distribution and understand the logic. And I don't understand tech. I don't understand anything. I'm still struggling with my Zoom going mute in 100 interviews, but the Facebook. But it'll happen, because it gives me a lot of faith meeting all of you, and your example of $300 and such a big charity from there is beautiful. It's a beautiful example that you don't need money. All you need is faith. Take the next step, move forward, and something will show up. Something will show up. You're beautiful, Amy. Beautiful, beautiful,
Thank
beautiful.
you. Yes, follow what you love.
We'll do it together. Yeah, we'll do it together. I will meet you. Don't go off. There have been many, 99 done.
99. Congratulations, that's 99. You're
99 mothers found across the world with so many stories. 3rd of February, Indian Standard Time, I turned 40. 8 a.m. I start the day by celebrating the 100th mom. Many things are coming. Let's amplify this message. Let's get all of us together. I'll put in the Zoom link after the interview, and we'll all meet. Whoever can hop in to just say hi for 10 minutes and say we are together in it. It'll happen. And probably a little mark is already made with these 100 moms. We're going to really, really bring a lot of life to many people's lives with this book. Welcome, Amy. I'm excited for 3rd. Everybody who's in the comments, please be there. And let's just do this. 100 moms, done. I'm going to not sleep for next 2 days, because I still have to reach the 100th. But after 100th, I'm going to just sleep for some time, because the first peak is climbed. I'm just this much away from the first peak. Yes, Melanie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm just going to go off live, and then I'll say bye-bye to you personally. Bye-bye, everyone. 3rd February, 8 a.m. IST. Be there. We'll see you.